But you
Yeah.
did see a few things, Andre. I didn't know if you wanted to comment real quick before we headed out.
Yeah, I saw two movies. I saw the Meg 2, The Trench, and I saw the most recent video game movie. I keep on forgetting the title. The
Gran
race thing.
Turismo.
Gran Turismo. Thank you, Gran Turismo. I saw the two of them. I know that you haven't seen any of them, so I was hoping we could discuss it with the Culture Casino, who has seen one, and I know that
But just
Chato
your
has not
brief
seen
like
the others. Very
recommendation or
brief.
not.
Yes. Beginning with the Meg. I thought that the first one was relatively disappointing because I had read the book. I rewatched it just a few days ago, and upon rewatch, I thought it was more entertaining, but I thought it was stupid. And the one thing I thought was so stupid about it was how contrived it was that they had to make everyone fall into the water all the time. Because here's like the thing with sharks and stuff like that. The problem is they're not dangerous unless you're in the water. And so you have like the story takes place on these oil tankers and stuff like that that you're generally safe from. And there were so many instances where they just came up with the most contrived things that belonged in Final Destination just to get people to fall into the water. It became like a joke, like a drinking game almost. So I thought that was pretty lame. Now, this new movie, it's one of the coolest movies I've seen this year. I enjoyed the hell out of it. There's zero woke in it. It's not woke at all. It's just a sheer classic action movie. So I'm saddened to see that it's not doing any better than it's doing because it's exactly the kind of movie that audiences should be seeing right now. Just like Mission Impossible. Like there's literally no woke in it whatsoever. It's just sheer and pure entertainment. It's one of the most Jason Statham movies since Crank, and I say that as a good thing. I mean, it's Jason Statham starring as Jason Statham
Right.
in the Jason Statham vehicle featuring Jason Statham
Well,
fighting sharks.
and I'm not surprised you like it, and I'm not trying to be like not racist or xeno whatever, put it onto you because you actually happen to not be American, but like clearly the movie's playing better overseas. So I'm not
I
surprised.
think so. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
thought it
see,
was fantastic. I loved it.
because it's doing gangbusters in like China and some other places. Like it's even kind of doing. I mean, I have to look at the numbers again, but just
I will also say this that the Chinese propaganda is limited to characters, to the presence of characters that just are there. There's no more to it. I mean, with
well,
the previous one, you had like some level of CCP propaganda because they funded it. Not in this one.
well, I wasn't even getting to that so much as I was going to say is I think it might be playing better than Fast X in some ways, maybe not on the same level, but like how I observed with Sound of Freedom up front, like the way it's playing overseas in comparison to here. I think this might have a really big overseas take, and we might still get some more Meg movies, but it's going to have nothing to do with the U.S. Right?
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
going to be because these are big international movies. So,
I
but
hope. I just hope that we'll get at least one more because the first one that was an okay start.
I
This
think
one,
China
like,
has kind
yeah,
of guaranteed that with the $100 some million it made that first weekend. So yeah.
I'd be very okay with that. I'd be very okay with that. I mean, if this kind of movie is an example of what Chinese funding can do at its best, because you have some perfectly likable characters that have prominent roles without them being distracting in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. And there's no CCP propaganda that I could detect. And then I say, well, you know what, bring it.
Well, and that what Andre says here, this is kind of in line with what I was just saying. Then actually, it's playing almost on the same level as the last Fast movie because 260 worldwide. I know it did what 30 its opening weekend here, and that means it did what this last weekend. I can't remember now,
I
but
don't know that's going to be enough though, because the
no, but
previous
two.
one
But
did more than 500 million worldwide. This
well,
one is not going to do that.
you sure? Because this is
No,
only its second weekend. Like that's what I'm saying. You're 260 already, and only a small portion of that's the U.S. was what I was going to get to. Yeah, like over 200 of it's outside the U.S. Yeah. Oh Jesus, yeah. So I don't think you're the only one to say this,
this
Dobre.
is true. This is true.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
Um,
Yeah, like it's like the villains are all white women, and they're manipulating brown men basically for
Oh,
them.
interesting.
Yeah,
So yeah, so you recommend that. What about Gran Turismo?
I thought it was going to be stupid, but surprisingly, it was really, really good. You know what it is? It's the bastard love child between Ford Ferrari and Speed Racer.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Tetris for a minute there, since that's what everybody was
No,
saying.
no,
But
no,
yeah,
no, no.
okay.
The bastard love child between the two. So, this is true in every way, like visually, story-wise, everything.
Okay.
It is Speed Racer meets Ford Ferrari, and it's not as good as Ford Ferrari, but it's far closer to Ford Ferrari than it is to Speed Racer, a movie that I shouldn't stand, but I can kind of like see the
Yeah.
influence here. It was surprisingly good, surprisingly emotional, and it just goes to show that Neil Blomkamp is one hell of a director, and the world needs his Alien. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, this was a very worthy video game movie.
So
Absolutely.
now, when you say, what did you just say as far as like Ford versus Ferrari is the better movie, is what you said, basically?
Yes, Ford versus
Okay.
Ferrari is a better movie
Well,
than
obviously, I would imagine
But
so.
obviously it is.
Yeah.
But there's echoes between this one and this movie. Kind of assumes that you have seen Ford Ferrari
Hmm.
because there are references to Le Mans, to that big race
Right.
in France. Actually, they're in it, and it's spoken of in this reverence, which assumes the audience already knows of it. And for most normies who aren't into that world, you're going to have heard about it from Ford Ferrari.
Hmm.
So yeah, this movie stands on the shoulders of Ford Ferrari.
All right. Well, there you go. There's a recommendation for that. I'm kind of surprised to hear that it's not like just a straight video game, you know.
No, not at all. I like the way that they did it because it's based on a true story about a marketing con man really that decided, hey, let's see what happens if we take these video gamers, because really what they've been doing is simulating the
Mm,
racetrack, and we actually put them into racetrack.
yeah. Yeah,
And
it sounds
towards the
interesting.
end, you basically see exactly what happened. You get to see the real characters and pictures juxtaposed against the actors and everything, the same way that any movie based on true events should do. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything because I was not familiar with the story going into it. So I was surprised to see
Mm.
how things unfolded. And I recommend that's how you go into it. Go in cold, like I did. You'll have a better movie for it. So I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to say there were some really good movies this year between these two and The Sound of Freedom and Mission Impossible. There's been good movies this year.
There you go.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.